In the golden years of Fahrul's history, King Bronna's peaceful rule brought prosperity to Fahrul. But alas, as His Majesty's reign neared its end, a dark cloud loomed. Vexor, the king's most trusted sorcerer, turned towards chaos and violence, casting a shadow upon our land. After murdering the king in his sleep and razing the capital, Vexor fled to Haraziel, seeking to summon Omus, the god of chaos. In that dire moment, Queen Rosamund emerged, inspiring the kingdom. 3 unlikely heroes confronted Vexor and sacrificed themselves to destroy the portal. After their heroic sacrifice, a new decade of peace and prosperity dawned upon Fahrul under Queen Rosamund's wise rule. For many years, the land flourished in tranquility once again. However, over time, Queen Rosamund has become increasingly paranoid, and now seeks to fund a mysterious project by taxing her citizens and enslaving those who cannot afford to pay. The Mad Queen's intentions are unknown, but rumors from
What's up, gamer?
Altered landscapes, mysterious machines,
God damn it!
Not seen since the Chaos War.
I forgot I was in general chat. I was recording the intro sequence for the King 2. Son of a bitch. Now it just has "What's up, gamer" in the fucking middle of it. I'm putting that in the video. I don't give a fuck. I will control our magical bitches and you can control the meat. Oh, we have points to— this is cool! Of course, yeah, it's all 5. Ow! Oh, goodbye.
Jesus, the corpse on tours.
Ah!
Yeah. That's time shit. So instead of chaos, it puts you on a timer.
Just give me back the chaos. You wanna play League?
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this game.
Dude, I waited fucking 2 months for this. Longer.
Yeah, that timing thing is really something.
Why is there a timer? That ruins the exploration and fun of the game. You can't even turn it off.
This $25 might be going to some fucking League skins.
I refunded For the King 2 on day 1, and here's why. For the King, a difficult D&DS game that facilitated hours of laughs, ragdolls, and wall-punching frustration. And I loved every single second of it. The art style, while rough around the edges, was entirely unique and made the game look like nothing you've ever seen. The hits, ridiculously impactful. The world, plentiful. Exploration was heavily encouraged, and it would even shape the world around you as you stepped. I grinded through the grueling gauntlet of the dungeon runs. I cleansed Scourge from the lands in the main story, and I haphazardly convinced my friends that there was simply no reason for us to light the Kraken War, as there was no way the Kraken would come at level 2 in our campaign. Only to get ambushed by the mythological beast immediately on the first deep ocean tile we touched. It's a game very dear to my heart, and I have like 7 different unfinished campaigns sitting around with various groups of assorted friends that them and I would pick up every few months on a bored 2 a.m. game session. It is with all of this to say, I was heavily anticipating For the King 2. For months, I kept pinging at everyone in my server and updating my friends constantly on the approaching release date. I bought the game early to get the 10% off, saving me a couple bucks. Got me the soundtrack too. Bangers soundtrack, by the way. Really fucking good. I waited all day to experience the game for the first time with my best friend, Gray. I ignored all the negative reviews bombing the game, as almost all of them were talking about the server issues, which a day one patch had already fixed. And after cracking open the most anticipated game of 2023 for me and my best friend Gray, I ended up refunding it on day one. The first game in a long time that kept me frothing at the mouth for any update left my Steam inventory as quickly as it entered it. Gray and I didn't even close in on our 2-hour refund window. We barely made it an hour before we lost all interest. But my heart is heavy. I wanted to talk about everything that disappointed me in the game. I'm not an analyst, I'm not an expert in tabletop gaming or RPGs for that matter, but For the King 2 was such a heartbreaker for me that I owe it to the first game to do my best to explain my stance and why I refunded my most anticipated game of 2023 on day one. And this is why. When launching For the King 2, you'll be pleasantly surprised and hyped up, experiencing an Airship Syndicate-inspired intro cinematic. Airship Syndicate, one of my favorite game developers of the late 2010s, known for their incredible art styles in games like Darksiders 3, League of Legends' The Ruined King, or one of my favorite games of the 2010s, Battle Chasers Night War. If you've played one of their games, the gorgeous intro sequence in For the King 2 will look very familiar. This cinematic screams to us, the player, that Iron Oak Games are taking a much heavier dive into the story this time around. The world building is sure to be vast and deep. We continue from the first game, where our party of 3 plucky heroes sacrifice themselves to save the world from chaos. Now a new queen, sickened with power, is closing her dominating grasp on the world at large, and our group of 4 rebellious heroes need to overthrow the government and reclaim the world for humanity. Pretty cool, huh? We dive into a great-looking main menu, very reminiscent of the first game in options. The collection is still here, leaving you to unlock a majority of the game's classes, items, and cosmetics through completing campaigns and spending your lore points in the store. Good stuff, although admittedly, much like the first game, most people are just gonna wait until somebody figures out a way to give themselves infinite lore points and follow suit, as the game is more fun when all the random bullshit is already unlocked and available in-game for you to experience. You don't want to finally unlock the funny lollipop weapon on your 7th time playing the game. We return to the main menu. As a game like this is most enjoyed with your closest friends, I head to multiplayer, our first noticeable change of the game. Gone is the ability to give your campaign lobby a custom name like the first game. The devs now opting for a randomly generated series of names and numbers that resemble those default router passwords printed on the back of your machine, like Brave Oak 232. I suppose this helps prevent dubious individuals from slipping dick jokes or slurs into the public lobby system, but it's a first look into the streamlined corporate-approved goy slop that the game devs worked into the cracks. No matter, we lobby up with Gray and begin our first For the King 2 campaign on the Journeyman difficulty, because we are not weak fucking cowards. Now that the game is upgraded to total parties of 4 over 3s from the first game, Gray and I can evenly split our party with each of us controlling 2 characters, which is a godsend. In the first game, you would run into this problem where you would have 1 and your friend would have 2 characters to operate. Power dynamic shift, it wasn't fun. But with this game, we've got an even spread of 2-2 for our 2-player campaign, and it'll make it a lot more fun, I'm thinking. I grabbed the Scholar and the Herbalist, with him grabbing the Blacksmith and Hunter. do some customization, as one truly must do in order to live vicariously through their digital chads, with Olivia Hurdy-Gurdy Smith III and now Beth complete. We hit another significant change in the sequel. As opposed to simply dropping into medieval towers with some sticks and a couple pesos, each character in your party is slotted 5 stars each, and a stash of various equipment, consumables, and even some fun options like 10 starting gold, all for various star costs to distribute extras amongst your party's starting inventories. You still get all your starting equipment on top of this, so I skip over the armor, and in trying to get a telescope on Beth, we encounter the first bug of our campaign.
What things you bought?
It's only letting me select things for the fucking herbalist. That's what this bug is. That's what's happening right now.
I quite literally can't spend any of Beth's equipment points. It deducts them and immediately removes the item from her inventory and refunds the points. It only allows me to spend the star points from Olivia's inventory and put them in her inventory. It will not even let me begin to customize Beth's starting equipment, leaving us to a bit of a soft lock. I tried swapping the selected character, readying and unreadying, and a variety of other clicks and tricks, spending literally 10 minutes trying to fix this bug, but nothing worked. So, unable to start the damn campaign, Gray and I have to restart our game and make a new lobby. This time, Beth actually accepts the gifts that I'm trying to bestow upon her inventory and allows me to allot the equipment accordingly and drop into campaign 1 of this new journey with my best friend Gray. Our game loads up and problem 1 is immediately melting my fucking face off like the Ark of the Covenant. This UI is questionable and confusing at best and completely underbaked and insulting at worst. I was at first warm to this new UI because it offers you more information for your increased party size, but upon further reflection, you'll find that half of this information is useless. It's a series of numbers with colors and symbols that frankly don't display information in a clear and cohesive way. It's eye clutter, and I don't get what the fuck I'm reading. I did not understand one of these stats on this UI for a great deal of time. You can try mousing over these things, but it doesn't make it much better, and half of the things you mouse over don't even have a pop-up to give you more information when you do so. And take a look at our inventory on the right. Or try to, because you can hit the inventory button and nothing fucking happens.
Is there no button for inventory?
Right?
Hockey?
No, right? Like I can't. It's I apparently, but it doesn't bring mine up.
But what if you do manage to open your inventory? It doesn't open the inventory for the character you select sometimes. I literally click Beth here and it still opens Gray's character's inventory because it's his turn. And again, this is if the inventory key even responds to me pressing I in the first place. I even checked my keybinds, it just straight up doesn't work. Alright. I guess I'm getting too picky. Who cares about functioning hotkeys and coherent inventory systems and a great UI anyways? Let's take a look at the map. A graphical upgrade, but a visual downgrade. I'm gonna need to make this make sense. I went back to the first game and got brand new footage for you so that we can compare For the King 1 to For the King 2. For the King 1, the game, although rough around the edges, is stunning. There's so much heart and character in everything you see on the map as you traverse it. Everything on the map looks like it was a little figurine placed on a table, like you're literally playing an RPG with your friends in real life. Everything has so much character to it. And now we swap to For the King 2. Is it graphically more impressive? Yes. On a technological level, it is improved. But the heart just doesn't feel there. You don't have everything hanging around on the table. You just have an actual world that you're playing in. I guess it's a fundamentally different feeling. I don't know if I'm in the minority here, but I don't like this new feeling. I want the game to feel like I'm playing an RPG with my friends around a table in the basement at midnight, eating Cheetos and drinking fucking Dr. Pepper. I don't want to feel like I'm sitting at a computer and going through the motions. I want to immerse myself in the world. And ironically, although it might be different for some, I cannot immerse myself in this new world. Oh yeah, by the way, you can't move the camera by mousing around. You have to use WASD. And you also can select your tiles with the arrow keys, which is pretty cool, but I can't figure out how to input the select command when I try to use the arrow keys. I even accidentally passed my turn when I was just trying to select a tile to walk to.
I passed my turn.
Good.
Nothing seems to work. The command key doesn't do it either. I just end up having to click my mouse anyways. Oh, and the arrow key selection also doesn't work if your mouse is on the screen. So you'll need a second monitor to place your cursor if you want to navigate with your arrow keys. But I'm just being picky again. Crazy negative for no reason. You can look past the bad UI. You can look past the bad art direction. After all, it is a video game. So the gameplay should be number one. Sarcasm aside, I do agree with this. If your gameplay's good, you can get away with almost fucking anything these days. Let's go ahead and dive into one of the random battles scattered around us. Just like For the King 1, random bullshit will pop up and get thrown at you as you explore, encouraging you to do some walking around. We dive into combat and get to experience an entirely revamped combat system. Everything from the top down is redesigned for the King 2. Rather than 3 stagnant poses for your character to stand in, the map is divided into 8 tiles that your 4 characters can move around in, facing 8 tiles the enemies can also move around in. AoE spells actually require you to select the placements on the tiles now. Party heal requires you to be all grouped up around the casting point or you're not getting the heal. Your characters can stand in front of each other to grant armor bonuses to the allies behind them. You can't even flee unless you're in the back row now. The combat system is significantly more in-depth. It's kind of crazy how different it is from the first game. I love it. You even have action economy now, like D&D, with a combat action and a utility action, essentially. You want to move one tile? There's your utility. Now you can attack too. You can do both in one turn, but you can't attack twice and you can't move twice. Makes sense? I absolutely love this new combat system. It's really cool seeing how in-depth the gameplay is. Now let's get on to some of this revamped combat. So we're at this weird angle with the camera. Makes it kind of hard to see our characters, or the tiles that we're standing on, which is very important for the gameplay. Hell, we can't even admire the cosmetics we're wearing either. It's kind of just awkward. No worries, I'll simply move the camera. Oh, yeah, you can't do that, by the way. You can't move the camera around in the arena to see the tiles better. All right? I guess we're just stuck looking at this weird-ass angle that makes it hard to figure out what the hell we're seeing. Okay, wait, but when it's the enemy's turn, it swaps the camera to a better angle? And I just don't get access to that same angle myself on command? The camera exists entirely outside of my grasp. Fantastic. At least we still have that classic For the King ragdoll fun when you kill an enemy. Or not. Your enemies don't yeet across the map and bounce off a tree, bounce into the skybox, get stuck in the floor. They kind of just default death animation. Why? Why? What did we gain from removing the goofy fun of the first game? It was supposed to simulate somebody flicking a figurine off the table when they kill it. And Christ, even the enemies' designs. Enemies we already had in the first game look watered down in this one. I mean, look at these hags in For the King 2. They're just older women. But look at this hag in For the King 1. She's crotchety. She's shaking. She has literal stink lines coming off of her body. There's no more heart in the designs. The heart of the game. Why has it stopped beating? Now, I did notice another small bug, or possibly just a design choice, where if you're already looking at a shop and you get money sent to you, it doesn't actually update what you're able to buy until you close the shop and reopen it up. Not a huge deal, just a little annoying, and I want to put that out there. I did file a bug report for this, and in filing my bug report in the middle of the game, which is a good feature to have, by the way, during the whole 2 minutes it took for this fucking report to submit, Gray fought off a massive ambush with these two characters, and I just didn't get to see that cool fight until it was pretty much done, because this bug report was taking minutes to upload, which is fine, whatever. So let's recap a little bit of a bullet point on everything we've seen in the game so far. We get a more complex combat system. We get a cool intro cinematic. We get great music. And worse, everything else. Gray and I persisted for a bit longer after this, holding out hope that Act 2 through 5 of the campaign would be significantly more pog than the first. As in For the King 1, there's no shortage of random bullshit popping up around you, so he and I continue to slaughter enemies after enemies in random assorted clusters, grinding XP, gathering assorted items. They even added scroll finding to the scholar now, like the herbalist can find herbs in For the King 1. Really cool little addition that adds more depth to the classes as well. We kill a massive boner in the graveyard nearby. I take all of the gold instead of sharing, initiating a never-ending war of greed between my friend and I throughout the campaign.
No, it's because we need that staff.
No, shot we're starting like this.
We need that staff, bro. I would have asked you for the money anyways.
Weird how once in a while you get a slight ragdoll when you crit something. Nothing compared to the first game eating your enemies across the skybox. But it'll do, I suppose. Better than nothing. There's just no consistency to it. It's about this time that Gray and I find our first actual challenge. This big fuck punishes us for grouping up, so we utilized the new combat and moved around the tiles to split up and continue wearing his 7 armor and magic resistance down until he begins to actually mollywop us.
Oh, goodbye.
And whoop, there we go! Why do we get ragdolls when we die, but there are mountains of enemy combatants don't? this is just another thing like the combat camera. I can literally see the thing I want in front of me, but I don't get access to it. It just feels half-baked, you know? Like I'm getting cucked on gameplay features in live. The Gray burns a few revives to get us through this awful fight, and okay, it's funny as fuck that your picture is replaced with a cross when you're dead, wearing your hat. This hat is so weak. I love that. There's so much heart in that joke there. You see, like, there's little morsels of love and affection in this game and great design choices, but they're scattered amongst a sea of bullshit. We continue going through the game and working our way over to the quest objective. And it's at this point where the confusing UI continues to boggle our minds. Our timeline has these different quest timers on it, but when you mouse over it, it doesn't give you any information for what the quest is or how important it is. It's just a picture of a quest and no information at all.
Hurry, if time runs out, your quest is over? Okay. So we have to do this on fast route.
That's not, I don't, 7 rounds until the boner quest expires. I think the thing on the hot bar is just reminding us.
Main story. No. The thing up top.
I see it. I think that's like little mini events, maybe, like the nibbler seedling on the right that spawned a camp.
Weird, right? So we figure this quest coming up on our timeline is probably some random side event that pops up, like pulling a sword from a stone, and you know, it has a timer. After so many turns it'll go away, right? We continue clearing camps nearby until suddenly, game over. What? We didn't even die! So, I will never understand this design choice. As it turns out, each of those little scrolls on the timeline is a counter, similar to what Scourge used to be, counting down your timer until your campaign ends. That's why they were collecting underneath the bar, but we didn't even notice those tiny ass circles on our screen. The whole time we thought that these were random little side quests timing out. You know, side quests from the list of quests beside the goddamn timeline. But nope, that is your ultimatum doomsday Majora's Mask, the world is ending, sayonara. And the only warning we got every time our timer ticked down was this bitch from the tavern saying some random bullshit that did not even allude to us running out of time. It sounded like she was just giving us motivation from the sidelines. It was so confusing and misconstrued. We had no idea the entire time that a meteor was flying to our planet. Not like the Scourge from the first game, right? Where the game would progressively get harder and more complex with more dangerous variables being introduced as you continued to waste time, not dealing with your objectives and continuing the story. This added depth, it added strategy to the game while still allowing you to explore this awesome world and have fun as much as you want. No, not in For the King 2, the game where fun goes to die. If you don't go to the quest objective fast enough, you lose the fucking game. So you can't explore the side quests, camps, dungeons, and events spawning all around you constantly. You don't get to go around exploring the map as it generates behind you and in front of you. No, you, my friend, have to take the narrative, pre-planned path as quickly as possible or the game cuts you off, quite literally, without warning. Or at least, without warning that you can understand. As this UI is terrible and confusing. No, this timer ending our campaign out of nowhere was enough for Gray and I to make our final decision. The game was already making it incredibly difficult to want to play through it. And with the campaign quite literally shutting off our gameplay when we were busy searching the world for the fun to be had, we both figured there probably wasn't any fun to be found after all. I even did more research on this timer, specifically because it made both of us very disappointed in the game. Some reviews say the timer is permanent, like it doesn't go away, and I even checked the developer response to one of these reviews saying this, and look at this nothing burger of a response. They don't even directly answer the problem at hand. This is worded in such a way that I'm not even sure what the answer is. Gray and I both read this, and he thought the developer was saying the timer is only in Act 1, but read this yourself. To me, this response sounds like you still have the timer all the time, but other Scourge variables are also added in on top of the timer in Act 2? What the fuck do I know? There's no concise information without me having to play the game further, and if I do that, I'm gonna be out of my refund window, and I don't even want to play the game anymore. I defended the game on day 1 to everybody before I opened it. I ignored the negative review bombing because frankly they all were saying the same thing. Shit UI, server problems, bugs. Other than that one lobby bug necessitating a restart, Gray and I didn't really have any bugs like the server problems. So I guess the day 1 patch fixed that. But the rest, I just can't, man. The game on a general level feels half-baked. Setting aside the bugs, setting aside the server problems, the game at its core feels less than the first game. The only thing I can say is definitely better is the combat system. And even then, there's aspects that are a direct downgrade even still, like the camera. It's such a disappointment. It feels like the developers had so much ambition with this project and really wanted to develop the entire world to be so much more than it was, and in some ways they did achieve that. And unfortunately, because of Steam's refund window having only a 2-hour time frame, your game needs to be fun out of the gate. You need to have people enjoying their time, wanting to continue to play the game. You need to keep people engaged for over 2 hours to get your money. And some people are saying the game gets better further down the line, and that's great. But as Asmongold says repeatedly, a game should be fun from start to finish. This ain't One Piece, baby. I shouldn't have to get halfway through this before I start to fucking enjoy it. We have to remember that we are the consumer. It's not our job to think about the eccentricities of game development. We're supposed to be offered a product, purchase it, and enjoy it. It could be a publisher issue, and I respect that, but we can't reward these practices by just grinning and bearing it and handing over our hard-earned money. The best thing a customer can do is vote with their wallet. It's like if you went to an esteemed bakery with a wonderful reputation and then they gave you an awful cake that was nothing like you heard about before going there. You're not going to say, "Oh, I guess they just had a bad day. No worries." You're going to want to get a refund and you're not going to go back to that bakery. Reputation matters a lot, and when you take a wonderful reputation from For the King 1 and not uphold it with the sequel product you've released, it has a profound impact on your future. Do I think that Iron Oak is completely screwed and For the King 2 will be a blemish on their reputation forever? Fuck no. No way, dude. We live in a day and age where No Man's Sky, a game that was quite possibly one of the most panned of all time versus their reputation before release, is now not only a cult classic, but a phenomenon and a tale in game development, a story for game developers for the rest of time. Success, a diamond in the rough. So I do not think that Iron Oak is screwed in any way. I just think they're going to have to really put their nose to the grindstone and commit to For the King 2, which they are already showing to have a great promise of doing with their daily updates. For the King 2 is a flanderized, heartless sequel to a game that felt completely unique to any other game I've ever played. And yet, it has limitless potential. Iron Oak, you made one of my favorite games of all time, and I have absolutely nothing personal against any of you, your developers, or anybody in your company, nor do I wish anything negative towards you fine folks. You still have my respect to this day, and I believe you can make For the King 2 a game I will want to play, and I will be back to see it myself in due time. Remember everybody, this was simply my day one experience with For the King 2. If you've had better experiences, head to the comments below and tell me. I want to hear about your adventures in the Kingdom of Fahrul. It will warm my heart. Subscribe if you didn't hate this, and if you've got any advice or critiques, let me know below. I'm just a cripple with passion after all. I'm no professional. Stay blessed everybody. I'll see you on the other side.